So we've been talking about that final countdown. Let's take you live to Nkandla, where our reporter Simphiwe Makhanya is. Simphiwe, it's just a few hours to go now. Just talk me through what the atmosphere is like. Is there any tangible change? Is there any heightening of anxiety, of emotions there?
Certainly, Tepi. So, I can tell you that today, especially, we have been witnessing quite a significant number of police officers which were patrolling the area around former President Jacob Zuma's home. But in terms of the latest with regards to this story, Tepi, so is that we know now that lawyers representing former President Jacob Zuma have since written to the Constitutional Court, requesting the Constitutional Court to basically say, hold on for now. Don't execute that court order which says that the former president must be arrested by midnight tonight, pending, of course, the application that was made by his lawyers to the Pietermaritzburg High Court. And we know that that application, the judgment to that application is expected to be delivered on Friday. So the situation is still very much, pretty much tense where we are, Tepiso, with quite a strong presence of the members of the media. But in terms of the supporters of the former president, I can certainly tell you that we have not seen any of them, camping outside his home, besides, of course, members of the MKMVA episode.
And so here I can imagine the difficult circumstances under which you're working. That is, there is no concrete or official communication that you're getting from the police at the moment, even though the police minister has said if there is no formal word or instruction from the Constitutional Court that they will effect that arrest warrant by midnight. But there are also a lot of rumors going around. Share with me about where some of the confusion arises from. We're seeing on social media videos which purport to be of the arrival of police and members of the SANDF to Nkandla. What is real and what is not at this point?
What we can tell our viewers for sure, Tepiso, is that there has been a heightened number of police around the Nkandla area especially. And we are aware also of the videos that have been circulating on social media, even getting reports from some of our sources saying that those police officers will be making their way to the former president's house with an intention, of course, to arrest him because according to the police, they have to execute that Constitutional Court order which says that the former president has to be arrested by midnight tonight if he does not hand himself over to law enforcement authorities. And of course, the sentiment on the ground is a bit so in terms of his supporters, and we spoke to his son a short while ago, Mr. Edward Zuma, who said that they are not willing to see any of that happening, and they will do all that they can to prevent any law enforcement authorities from approaching the house of the former president with an intention, of course, to arrest him. But the situation now, I suppose, is a wait-and-see kind of game, because we are awaiting now some word from the Constitutional Court if, in fact, they do accept the letter that has been written by the lawyers of the former president. Because in that letter, Tepiso, the lawyers of the former president say, let's not arrest the former president for now, because there is a pending application at the Pietermaritzburg High Court, which we made as the lawyers, and we await the decision on that on Friday. So it's a wait and see now kind of game situation. But of course, we'll continue to be here to monitor whatever developments that continue to take place here, as indeed the clock continues to tick.
All right. So, Simphiwe, I'm going to ask you to be our eyes and ears. Give us a sense of where you are at the moment and how far is that in relation to the actual house, the lodges of the former president, how far that will mean security police would have to travel to reach there, and without obviously compromising anybody's security, what would be the logistics of getting inside the premises?
So I'm going to move out of the shot, and it's going to be a bit of a challenge for our viewers to see, because it's dark where we are now. But I can tell you that we are just across former President Jacob Zuma's house. The main entrance, I can see it from where I am, and from what I can see a few members of the MKMVA gathered here. But so in terms of the logistics when it comes to conducting this operation, we do expect that police will definitely have to be somewhere where we are, because this is the main entrance. Other than this main entrance, there's no other entrance that is visible from where we are at Tepiso.
How large is the gathering, the numbers of those of the members of the MKMVA whom we know have been squatting there, so to speak, for weeks on end now in a bid to protect the former president, as they call it, from arrest? And since we last spoke, you had said there's nobody who's making their way there. So is that still the situation? I'd imagine that moving towards the curfew time, it would be rather impossible for people to start making their way there anyway.
That is still pretty much the case, Tepi. So what I can tell you is that there's quite a few of those members of the MKMVA who are guarding the main gates. I think I must have counted about 4 or 5 of them, before going on air. The numbers are not really that significant in terms of what we can see from where we are. But of course, we know that former President Jacob Zuma's house is quite huge. So others may not be where we are. They may be surrounding the area. But from what we can see, I can tell you that there's not a significant number of them. It must be about 4 or 5, if I'm not mistaken.
All right. Thank you, Simphiwe Makhanya, our reporter who's in Nkandla as we speak, as the clock continues to tick towards that midnight deadline when the police minister and the police commissioner are to effect that arrest of former President Jacob Zuma, who was due to hand himself over on Monday, and if not, the police are to arrest him within 3 days. That 3 days ends at midnight tonight. And the latest now being the Jacob Zuma Foundation writing to the acting Chief Justice, Raymond Zondo, saying that he must provide clarity on the Constitutional Court order for his arrest. You remember that this is the subject of fierce debate between the opposing counsel, that of Jacob Zuma, who is arguing that the Pietermaritzburg High Court must interdict that Constitutional Court order for his arrest to serve a 15-month sentence. This while it has been granted a hearing by the Constitutional Court on a rescission application. But of course, those speaking on behalf of the State Capture Commission and the Helen Suzman Foundation saying that the lower court has no jurisdiction to interdict an order by the Constitutional Court, and that if the former president had wanted there to be a suspension order of his arrest, it should have applied for that in tandem. The Pietermaritzburg High Court, through Judge Mnguni, will then deliver its verdict on Friday at 11:30 a.m.